The time now is
29 minutes past 7.
The Time Check was brought to you by Chopin.
Shanghai Free Trade Zone formally goes into operation. Anti-Ma Ying-jeou demonstrations in Taipei. And U.S. government shutdown nears as House wins Obamacare delay.
Hello and a very good evening. The Shanghai Pilot Free Trade Zone officially went into operation today. Beijing calls this a crucial part of the country's reform. It's hoped the Free Trade Zone's operations will reach international standards within 3 years. Evelyn Leung has our top story tonight.
A major step forward, or what some analysts say, could be a game changer for the mainland's first pilot free trade zone in Shanghai. The zone, which measures more than 28 square kilometers in area, was unveiled this morning. It is a testbed for the mainland to deepen economic reform and provide a testing ground for free capital account convertibility of its currency. Commerce Minister Gao Hucheng, Shanghai Party Secretary Han Zhong, and City Mayor Yang Xiong unveiled the nameplate of the Free Trade Zone's governing committee as part of the commencement ceremony. 36 companies were also given licenses to operate in the zone.
As a forming member of the Free Trade Zone, we are very excited taking the opportunity here in Shanghai, where we see the opportunity for innovation based on the financial services, based on the service industry. Detailed sizes of businesses are hard to predict at this stage, but our business is continuously growing. The entertainment business is very important for us as Microsoft.
The Commerce Minister said during his speech that the zone is crucial in the new era of the mainland's reform. Gao added it follows the global economic development and reflects Beijing's more active strategy of opening up. According to the State Council, 8 Chinese banks will be allowed to set up branch offices in the zone. The financial institutions will be allowed to let market rather than regulators determine interest rates and convert money more freely from yuan to foreign currencies and move the money out of the country. Some analysts say the establishment of this zone took a mere 6 months following Premier Li Keqian's visit to Shanghai in March. This, they believe, shows Beijing's determination to open up the country. Yin Zhonghua, the International Trade and Economic Affairs head of the Ministry of Commerce, reassured Hong Kong people that the new zone won't have any adverse effect on them. He says Hong Kong has its role to play in the free trade zone. This, he says, will help promote the SAR's prosperity and stability and the mutual development of the two cities. Evelyn Lang, TVB News.
Critics are already taking the government to task over the poverty line a day after it was officially announced. Lawmakers say there must be a time frame to help those who are now officially classed as poor. Stephanie Choi reports.
Lawmaker Fernando Zheng says the government lacks a concrete plan to reduce poverty despite announcing the official poverty line yesterday.
I think we can very easily look at setting a timetable of cutting poverty in half within the next 5 years.
Referring to the $6,000 handout the government gave to every permanent resident, Zheng said there are more than enough resources to eradicate poverty.
According to the calculation provided yesterday, it cost less than $15 billion to lift everybody above poverty. And we spent $40 billion just by dishing out that $6,000 to everyone.
But Chief Secretary for Administration Carrie Lam pointed out that setting a target to reduce the number of poor people would be unfair to those who are just above the poverty line. According to Lam, the government would have to think twice about setting such a target, as it would mean that all resources would go to those who fall below the poverty line. She also mentioned the government already has measures in the pipeline. These measures focus on education and support for children from poor families, Lam said. But Lam also made it clear Hong Kong would not become a welfare city. Both Lam and Chung have faith that the people of Hong Kong would continue the city's tradition of a strong work ethic and wouldn't simply rely on social welfare. But Lung Yu Chung of the Neighborhood and Workers' Service Center thinks the poverty line should be raised to benefit more people. He believes the government should come up with short-term policies to meet the present needs of these families.
The government hasn't got any policy can help them to solve the problem at this moment.
Lung notes that current subsidies are not enough to cover these families' expenses. Stephanie Choi, TVB News.
Thousands in Taiwan took to the streets of Taipei today, calling on President Ma Ying-jeou to step down for what they call the ineffectiveness of his government. Apart from holding rallies earlier today, the protesters plan to stage a sit-in in Catagalan Boulevard outside the presidential palace this evening. Some protesters arrived at Ma's office this afternoon. They threw shoes at pictures of the president and his government officials to show their discontent. They're not happy that Ma has yet to improve the island's economy and still refuses to step down, even though his approval rating has already plunged to a new low of around 10%. This follows the recent controversy sparked by the ruling Kuomintang's decision to expel Legislative Yuan Speaker Wang Jinping on allegations that pressured state prosecutors over a criminal case involving an opposition legislator.
Americans still face a government shutdown after House Republicans voted early today to partially fund the government in exchange for delaying President Barack Obama's health care law. With a government shutdown now looming, Obama is urging lawmakers to raise the nation's debt ceiling or face a catastrophic debt default.
Where there's a will, there's a way. And the Tea Party wing of the GOP got its way by pushing to defund the president's signature health care bill.
On this vote, the yeas are 231, the nays are 192. The second portion of the divided question is adopted without objection.
The House also voted 248 to 174 to repeal a medical device tax that would help fund health care programs under the 2010 law. It was a crafty but risky move. As a price for avoiding a government shutdown next Tuesday, the Republican-controlled House of Representatives was successful at garnering enough votes to seal their agenda of putting off funding Obamacare for a year. This despite a White House threat to veto any bill that delays Obama's health care restructuring.
It's so disturbing that Republicans in Congress are threatening to shut down the government, or worse, if I don't agree to gut this law.
Plus, Democrats tried but failed to compromise.
A shutdown is not a tactic. It's not a strategy. It is a failure for this country. Let us not be the country whose representatives cannot work together to fulfill the most basic function of government.
One Republican congressman fought back, saying two can play the compromise game.
If this government shuts down, it's because you have not accepted the compromise that Republicans have reached out to you and offered.
Unless Congress acts before Tuesday, here's what's at stake. About 1/3 of the government will shut down. Some 800,000 of about 2.1 million federal employees will be sent home without pay. National parks will close. Only 3% of NASA's 18,000 workers will keep working to support the International Space Station. But the military and other safety and security agencies will continue to function. As it stands, unless Congress raises the federal borrowing cap, the U.S. government will run out of money to pay its bills by late October.
Italy's president is expected to hold crisis talks later today with Prime Minister Enrico Letta on ways to form a new coalition. It comes after former Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi withdrew members of his party from the ruling coalition. Analysts have warned that Italy's economy cannot afford another political crisis. In a move intended to make clear who really pulls the strings in Italy, former Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi withdrew his 5 ministers from the country's cabinet, effectively bringing down the government of Italian Prime Minister Enrico Letta. It's another blow for Italy, which has struggled to maintain political stability in the midst of the crippling Eurozone debt crisis. Analysts warn this new crisis will only hamper efforts to enact badly needed economic reforms.
It is serious because there is a risk that the government will fall. There's a risk, if that happens, that the Italian economic problems will become much more serious and become European problems.
The writing has been on the wall for months, given ties within the coalition of Letta's centre-left faction and Berlusconi's centre-right People of Freedom Party have deteriorated. The last straw came on Friday, following a huge disagreement over increasing the country's sales tax. Berlusconi's centre-right party called it a serious violation of the pact on which the coalition government was formed. But Letta accused Berlusconi of misrepresenting the issue and using it to distract from his political and legal problems. These have intensified following moves to expel the billionaire from the Senate after his conviction for tax fraud last month. Now Letta and his centre-left allies must attempt to salvage the situation. Italy's president has stepped in, hinting that he would try to oversee a new coalition without calling fresh elections. Speaking yesterday, President Giorgio Napolitano called for unity and stability, saying continued uncertainty would only harm Italy. Elsewhere in Europe, Greek authorities have formally charged the leader of Greece's extreme right Golden Dawn party and 4 other members of its parliamentarians. The 5 have been charged with membership of a criminal organisation with intent to commit crimes. It marks an escalation of a government crackdown after a fatal stabbing which was blamed on a Golden Dawn supporter. It's the first time since 1974 that sitting members of the Greek parliament have been arrested. The arrests underscore efforts by the Greek government to stifle the fiercely anti-immigrant party, which has been on the defensive ever since the killing.
A major earthquake rocked Pakistan's southwest yesterday, killing 15 people, just days after another quake in the same region killed hundreds. Many of those injured in the 6.8 magnitude aftershock in Balochistan province were brought to a Karachi hospital earlier today. The death toll from Tuesday's disaster was 359. Few of the mud and brick houses in the area survived the earlier 7.7 magnitude quake that leveled villages and buried people in the rubble. Since then, tens of thousands of frightened residents have been sleeping in tents or under the open sky. The Pakistani Air Force has been making airdrops of supplies and using helicopters to ferry injured people to hospitals. And still ahead in our newscast, a hiking event in support of country park protection. A survey shows many people won't support a rubbish levy of over $20 a month. And Miss Philippines crowned as this year's Miss World.